Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nest Talk podcast. This is all things Emory Athletics. My name is Taylor C. I'm the Assistant Director for Athletic Communications. And with me today, we have Claudia Schmidt from Women's Soccer.
Yes. Hi, my name's Claudia. I am a senior on the women's soccer team at Emory. I am studying computer science and I'm minoring in women and gender studies.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit. You grew up in Needham, Massachusetts. Is that right?
Yes.
So just tell us a little bit about that and what your experiences were from a young girl to going to high school, playing soccer, running track, kind of all of your different experiences.
Yeah. So I grew up in Needham, which is about 15 minutes outside of Boston. And I've always played soccer. It's always been a part of my life, my family life. Both my parents played in college. My brother, who's 2 years younger than me, has always played soccer too. So it's sort of always been in the background. And then when I got to high school, I kind of knew that was definitely something I wanted to do. So I played varsity soccer for 4 years at high school. In high school, I went to a big public high school, so there was a lot of team spirit. There's a lot of school spirit, big football games and stuff like that, which was fun. And then I also ran track for a couple years. That was mostly just to stay in shape for soccer, but fun to do on the side. I dabbled in high school lacrosse for a little bit. Yeah.
So you kind of got your hand in on it.
I did it. Yeah, I did a couple different things.
So let me ask you, so being from Boston, are we a Red Sox fan?
We're all Boston sports fans. Like, I think Boston is such a hub for sports and for city spirit. So all my friends, we grew up going to Red Sox games, Celtics games, Bruins games. Like, it was always on the TV at home. So, yeah.
Very cool. So you've kind of touched on it a little bit. You were, a multi-sport athlete, doing track and soccer, lacrosse. You were a co-captain for soccer your senior year. What was kind of like that camaraderie between your teammates there and being a leader even in high school?
Soccer for me has always been where I found my people. Even in high school, we had such a close group of girls. We were always, even off the field, we were always doing stuff together, always going to dinner together, always hanging out outside of school. So I think that's where I've really found my place and the people that I feel most supported by. And then I was a captain my senior year, and senior year was our COVID year. That was the second half of COVID, so we were trying to navigate that and still, get our senior games in and still trying to have that experience senior year and make it fun for everyone. So,
can you talk a little bit more about that being in, COVID, everything kind of turned upside down? How did you manage to keep training, keep playing, and kind of mentally, go through that?
Yeah, COVID was really hard. I think for me, and I think a lot of other athletes feel this, that exercise in soccer is such a big part of our lives, and it's so good for not only our bodies but for our mental side of things also. So not being able to train, not being able to be with our friends was really hard, but we found ways to connect over social media and over Zoom. We would do Zoom workouts, we would have Zoom meetings with the team just to sort of stay connected in an uncertain time, which I think was good.
I've never heard of. How does a Zoom workout work?
It's more like laughs and not much working out, but it's someone's usually trying to, show some exercises and people are trying to follow along, and it's more just for fun, not really working out.
I do want to get into a little bit outside of athletics. When you were in high school, you were a volunteer for Girls Who Code, and you were the vice president of research for the Biotech Club. Can you talk a little bit more about those experiences?
Yeah, so I'm a computer science major, but in high school I didn't really know that that's what I wanted to do. I sort of stuck my toe in, so I did Girls Who Code, and we volunteered with local middle school aged kids, teaching them super basic coding stuff. And then the Biotech Club I actually did at Emory, so that's an Emory activity that I did. But in high school, what else did I do? During COVID, I was part of a couple clubs that did some fundraisers. We partnered with local ice cream companies and created these ice cream boxes and raised money for the Massachusetts COVID relief fund. which was a good COVID activity. Yeah.
So is that a really big thing for you, is giving back to your community?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I live in a not a small town, but a very well-connected town where everyone sort of knows each other. And I think playing a sport at a big public high school kind of helped me have the opportunity to, reach out to a lot more people than I probably would have been able to otherwise. So, yeah.
Awesome. I do want to ask because I think that, especially for me, and I'm sure for you, if your community's big, also your family's really big. So I just want to hear a little bit more about your family, how they've kind of supported you through everything that you've done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I both my parents, and then I have a younger brother who just started his freshman year. So we were sending him off to college this year, which was sad and exciting at the same time. Um, and then I do have a big family, but not a lot of people live in Massachusetts. So we're kind of all spread out. So I have a ton of cousins that are out in Colorado. I have a ton of cousins in upstate New York. But even though everyone's sort of spread out, like we do a really good job of staying connected. We have a bunch of group chats and we do FaceTimes and we do find time to visit each other. They'll like live stream my games and, send me text afterwards, which is cute. But they've just been awesome. Like throughout high school, throughout my entire college experience, like they've just been my main support system outside of, the team and my friends that I have here. So, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to move into Emory and how you kind of chose here because, we know that you weren't recruited out of high school here. So how did you end up choosing Emory? Did you always kind of have a plan to come here and eventually try out for soccer? What did that process look like for you?
Yeah, so I think in high school, soccer was such a big part of my identity. It was such a big part of my life that I kind of knew that I wanted to try to play college soccer. But COVID hit my junior year, which is when a lot of the recruiting happened. So it kind of offset that experience. I didn't get to go to a lot of the ID clinics and a lot of stuff that happens during that time. And so the recruiting just didn't work out for me. And I kind of accepted that. And Emory was one of the schools that I was really interested in for academics. It was kind of had checked a lot of the boxes that I was looking for. It was, near a city. It was outside of Massachusetts. I was really big in like getting out of New England. I wanted to go somewhere new. Has obviously a really good academic program. Yeah, so I think I really liked the school. And then once I got here, my first semester, I obviously didn't play soccer. And I think, as I was making friends, I definitely found people that I connected with, that I'm still friends with today, those freshman year friends that I'm still really close with, and I live with some of them right now. But I just felt like something was missing from my life. And I think because soccer has been such an important part of my life for so long, I kind of realized that I wasn't ready to give that up. So I talked to our head coach a little bit the summer before, and we had chatted a little bit. And then I ended up reaching out to her in that first semester, and she met with me and said, come out in the spring, come lift with the team, come practice, and we'll see how it goes. And thankfully it went well, and I made the team, and which was very exciting. So,
Was the weather at all a factor for you?
oh, huge factor. I mean, Boston, we're used to like by middle of September, it's like getting down to the 40s, and I'm not a big snow girl. I love to ski, but I'm not a big cold weather person. So I was like, I wanted to get out of Massachusetts, out of Boston, somewhere warmer.
You want the cold weather on your time.
On my time. I want to control when I get to see the cold weather.
Understand. So what was the tryout process like for you? Like getting here, and I know you said you were kind of lifting with the team, but maybe go in depth a little bit more about those specific conversations that happened, and also how you kind of felt like going into this team. Like a lot of these girls probably got recruited together. So how was that like kind of coming in from the outside?
It was probably one of the most nerve-wracking experiences that I've had in college. Sue, our head coach, when I talked to her over winter break, was like, get in touch with the captains, get into the captains' practices that they do in the spring before, the team starts practicing with the coaches. So I remember I knew a couple girls were on the team already, so I reached out to them and was like, hey, I'm new. I'm trying out. Sue told me to contact you. So I hopped into some captain's practices, but it's hard, because the whole team has been together for a semester. They've just gone through an entire season together. So they've really bonded, and it was hard, I think, breaking into that as someone who they didn't know who I was. They didn't know, like, if I was good or not. They didn't know if I could play up to their standards. So kind of trying to, prove myself at the same time, both on the field and in the social part of things was really hard. But yeah, I lifted with them all spring season. I went to every practice. And, even outside of soccer, I started hanging out with them socially. Like I would eat meals with them and sort of slowly, made friends and, broke my way into that circle. It definitely took a little bit to get comfortable being in that circle, and just the level of commitment, going from not playing a sport and having all this free time to like suddenly you have lift and practice and team dinner and whatever. So that was definitely an adjustment. But once I got into it, I was like, oh, I really like this. Like, I really like this team. I really like practicing. I really like playing soccer. So, yeah.
I want to get into later a little bit more specifically about, your early seasons, but I think everybody would, that's not a student athlete here wonders, like, how in the world do you manage practice? You manage lift? You manage being a student? I mean, because that's the most important part. You're here to get a degree. How do you manage all of that?
I know. And I think looking back on my first semester and like how much time I had, I think about it, I'm like, what did I do with all that time? Because I think if you ask anyone like how you manage it, like you just do. Like you just figure out a way to manage it because there's not really another option. And a lot of the student athletes here, were recruited and they come in and like that's their life. Like they don't know anything else. So that's just something that you have to figure out. And I think it's also because everyone around you is doing the same thing. Like you're surrounded by your team, but you're also surrounded by so many other student athletes at Emory who are all managing the same schedule. So it becomes like your normal. And it's definitely hard at times, I think, especially when you're in season and you're going on plane trips and you're on the bus for 3 hours going to games and trying to like do your homework in the hotel or do your homework on the bus. But you build really, really good time management skills and you kind of just figure it out. So
I'm curious, now that we're talking about road trips outside of school, what does that look like? What kind of fun do you guys have on these trips?
the away trips are really fun. I think they're one of the times where we bond the most as a team because you're not that we're stuck on the bus, but like we're stuck on a bus together. Like we just had a game at Georgia College. We're 2 hours on the bus there, 2 hours on the bus back. And some of it is like sleeping time, like resting, but it's a lot of it is just like chatting with the person next to you. We're at the airport together going to UAA conference games and you're trying to figure out like how to get to baggage claim and like how to get to the gate. And like, it's just stuff that you get to figure out with your teammates and you're never alone in it. And it's just something that you get to do with all the people that you love. And then, when we're at these hotels staying overnight, like there's always like an ice cream place nearby that we like convince our coaches to let us go to. Even like after games, we're supposed to like do ice baths in the hotel, and that's a whole experience that we like figure out together. And there's Caitlin Nimmer. I just have this vivid memory of us last season in the tournament. We finished our game, we went back to the hotel, and we get ice from the ice machines, and we bring them into the bathtub of our hotel room. And we're used to the ice baths in the athletic room, training room, which are cold, but this is like a new level of cold. And Nims gets into the bathtub with all the ice and like basically starts crying because it's so cold. And I just remember sitting in there with her and we had 10 minutes and I was just like playing games, trying to distract her. And there's just so many like little moments like that like just stick out because we spend so much time together and we just like build up these relationships that like you can't really find anywhere else. So
Awesome. Putting Caitlin on blast, by the way. Yeah, sorry, Caitlin. So I have to ask, Brandeis is obviously very close to Boston. Yes. So how does that feel going home on those games?
I'm so excited because this is the first Brandeis game that I've been here that we've played at Brandeis. So Brandeis is like 15 minutes from my house. So like my whole family will come. I have a bunch of high school friends who like go to Boston school, so they're all gonna come. So I think that's gonna be really cool to be able to play at home. We'll do a team dinner at my house, which will be fun just to like have everyone in my hometown and kind of show them around.
That'll be awesome. Have you guys done a road trip before since you've been here where somebody's gotten to host the team at their house?
I don't think so. I don't think we've ever done that.
So you've got to set the standard.
I know. We got to get some good food and yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go into some more specifics of your first season. Okay. You played 19 games, 13 starts. Your first goal was a game winner against Piedmont. Yeah. Like, holy cow, welcome to Emory Soccer. Yeah. What was that like?
It was awesome. I mean, I think coming into that season, I still was nervous because I had never played, real conference and season games with the team yet. I didn't really know where I stood. I was expecting to kind of stand on the sidelines. Obviously if I got the opportunity to play, like I was going to go and play and give it my all. But I didn't really have any expectations in terms of playing time. But yeah, that season was awesome. Like I just felt so lucky to be on the field and be contributing in the way that I was. I was a sophomore, but I sort of felt like I was a freshman because I was still new and like kind of was figuring it out with the other freshmen. And yeah, it just felt really good.
Awesome. Not to get into the sad, but next season you sustained an injury.
Yes.
What was that like? You had, your junior, senior seasons, you were going through COVID, so that kind of put a damper on things. You have a great first year at Emory, and then you go right into injury.
Yeah, that was definitely really hard. And I've never had an injury like that's put me out for so long. I played six or seven games, and then in the seventh game, I just jumped the wrong way and landed the wrong way, and my foot just kind of snapped, and that was really hard. And it's for anyone who's been injured, like they know how hard it is when you love your sport so much, and then you have to stand on the sidelines and watch all your friends and all your teammates practice every day and play games and win games and lose games together, and it's just not the same. You're part of the team and you're there, but when you're not playing, you don't feel the same things that the people on the field are feeling. Like you don't feel the losses, you don't feel the tackles. So that was really hard. I think it did give me a good perspective though, because I was able to watch from a place that I'd never watched from before, and I think it helped me connect with some more girls who I hadn't previously connected with, which was really nice. But yeah, that was hard, but I'm happy we're over that hump.
I know it probably felt good too. You guys had a trip to the NCAA tournament that season, and you were able to get back out there for that. I know that had to feel good.
Yeah, that definitely felt good. I would say I was at like 80% at that point. Like my foot was like, okay. I don't know how much I should have been playing, but it definitely felt good to get back out there, get that confidence back a little bit, and just be able to contribute, because I know sometimes when you're standing on the sidelines, like it just feels like you can't do anything to help. And after standing on the sidelines for so long and then getting to play, I was like, oh, I can finally do something. Like I can finally contribute and, help the team. So
what did that NCAA tournament feel like? I mean, I'm sure your first year at Emory, you probably wouldn't have expected to be playing in an NCAA tournament game.
I mean, the tournament is just like such a different environment than the season games. I mean, we compare like our early season and our late season differently too. Like our UAA games are such a different level than like some of the early games we play against just like regional teams. But then the NCAA tournament is just like another step above that. And there's a lot of pressure, but I think pressure in a good way, because we want to win so badly. Everyone wants to move on. And we get to do that together, and it's just a really cool environment to be a part of, because like you were selected to be part of this tournament. You proved we proved ourselves as a team collectively that we deserve to be here. So
Is that the goal this season?
yes, get back there and then keep winning, and then win it all.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about this season. What are you most looking forward to? Who are you most looking forward to playing?
I think I'm just most looking forward to just like being able to play again healthily, because that was something that I didn't get to do last year. I think we have an awesome group of girls. We have 11 freshmen, and they have just been amazing so far. They're all so kind, so good. And so they've added, another layer to our team that I think we were missing. So that's been really cool to watch them, come into our team and take it in stride. I think I'm just excited to play all the UAA teams. I think we had a bit of a tough season last year. We didn't have as many wins as I think we would have liked. I think we struggled against some of our UAA opponents. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing all of them. Yeah.
Awesome. You mentioned the freshmen on the team. How do you feel like, or I guess what's the best piece of advice maybe you could give them being a senior? They're probably looking up to you, that you're their mentor now.
Yeah. I think in terms of soccer, I would just say, I know it's short and sweet, but just to work hard. I think as a freshman, I think work hard, but also be confident, because I think as a freshman, it's really easy to get in your head. It's your first time on a collegiate team. No one really knows how you play. No one really knows what you can do. And I think it's really easy to get in your head and let the nerves take over. So obviously it's easier said than done, but just be confident in what you can do, and just remember that you were recruited for a reason. Like, you're here for a reason, and we're all excited that you're here. So just be confident, and then work hard. Like, every practice, every game is an opportunity to show what you can do and to contribute. So if you get to play 20 minutes in a game, like, give those 20 minutes everything you can.
All right, let's give a little shout out to the teammates, because we can't do that, or we can't do this podcast without giving a shout out to the teammates. So what kind is it, a sisterhood? Like, how are you guys in the locker room, on the buses?
Yeah. It's interesting because being an upperclassman, I think, and a captain, I think you get to set that team culture. And we only have 2 seniors this year. So we're a pretty young team. And shout out Chase, my other senior. And so I think it's pretty cool just to be able to foster that team culture. And so far it's been awesome. Like, I think our team camaraderie, our team chemistry has been really cool. It's just been really cool to watch that team chemistry build. And we've only been here for less than 2 weeks, and already, like, I can see the bonds that are being forged, and the friendships that are starting, not even just between, like, within classes, but like across classes, like having the seniors reach out to the freshmen, making sure everyone's included, watching the sophomores and the juniors, laugh in the locker room together. Like, it's just, everyone's getting along, everyone's happy to be here. The morale has been really high, so it's just cool, to watch that happen.
Awesome. Well, let's turn the attention back to you. You are a senior. It's your final year. So are there any post-grad plans, grad school, job? Or is it way too early to start even thinking about that?
I've started to think about that. I'm interested in doing software engineering after school. I've thought about going back to Boston. I'm kind of interested in exploring other cities too. I was abroad last semester in Copenhagen, so I think that experience kind of showed me that I really love living and getting to know new cities. So I've thrown out Austin and I have a lot of family who lives in Denver, so I'd love to go out there too. And I'm starting to look at jobs, and yeah.
What was studying abroad like? That's definitely not an opportunity that everybody gets to do. So I'm sure that was special.
Studying abroad was really special. It's something that I think I came into college knowing that I wanted to do, and I didn't necessarily know where I wanted to go. But I ended up going to Copenhagen, and I lived with I didn't go with anyone from Emory. I went by myself, and I lived with a ton of different people from other American universities. And I think it was just a really cool opportunity for a lot of self-growth. I was living in this new country that I'd never been to before. They spoke another language, and it's just cool to look back and be like, oh, I did that. Like, I navigated that for 4 months. So it was just, yeah, it was a really special experience.
Did you have to learn like a phrase so you could get around?
They make us Emory requires you to take the language, so I had to take Danish.
Okay.
And I like sort of know how to say things, not really though. Like, it's such a hard language that I don't even think I could get by with anything, but
Can't even imagine.
yeah.
All right, best piece of food that you had while in Copenhagen.
The Danish food is so not anything. Like, it's just, I don't even know if there is Danish food. But they had a lot of good stuff though. I don't know. We went to Budapest and we had this dessert, and it's like a swirled cake with ice cream in the middle. I think that was the best dessert that I had.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start wrapping things up.
Okay.
I want to get or have you give some advice, maybe to someone who is in the same position. They come to a school, they want to try out for a team. They might not get recruited, but their dream is to play in college. What is your biggest piece of advice for someone?
I think my biggest piece of advice is to advocate for yourself. Like, none of this would have happened for me if I didn't reach out to the coaches, if I didn't reach out to the captains at that time. So I think just use your voice and take that chance. Even if it doesn't work out, I think you'll always regret not saying something. It's always better to say something and try than not. So it can't hurt to reach out and say your piece. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, you knew that you tried it out. Communication, advocate for yourself, use your voice. Yeah.
Awesome. And what is your biggest takeaway from from high school to now? What's your biggest takeaway?
I mean, joining this team changed the course of my college experience. Like, my college experience would not be what it was without Emory women's soccer and the friendships that I've made. And so, I don't know, I just feel really lucky that it went the way that it did and that I was able to meet the people that I met. And, I really feel like I found my place and I found my people, and we get to play soccer together every day and do something that we love together. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's our very first episode. And also shout out to Claudia, because I know I saw some teammates walking down the stairs that were probably looking at you.
I know, I was trying not to laugh.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.